So do you have any advice for people who want to get into overlanding and four-wheeling, adventuring?
Don't try to go out and buy everything that the people you follow on YouTube have on their rig.
All right, well, we spent another day working on Ed Shin's Jeep on 40s, your Wrangler JL diesel, and just making a few mods, changing out that diff oil, putting that new Yukon heavy-duty front diff cover on, and we figured that maybe we'd ask him a few questions, find out more about, well, YouTuber Ed Shin.
Okay.
How did you get started?
Oh, I started off actually far from the off-road world. I guess you can say off-road on foot. So I did backpacking, and then I, recorded that with my camera phone, and then evolved into GoPro, and people started commenting, following, and asking questions. I was like, you know what, this is more of a hobby, or this was only a hobby, but it's starting to develop into something in YouTube, building an audience, and it started to slowly graduate and grow from there. Then I met my girlfriend, who is now my wife, and then we realized as we get older and we're dating, and she likes backpacking too, car camping is a little bit more easier. So we still want to go to places where it's remote, hard to reach, but we want to have all the luxuries, the portable bathroom, a bunch of food. Before backpacking, you only get like dehydrated meals, whereas overlanding and off-roading, you can just put them in the trunk and go out. So, and then with that, my followers and YouTube kind of followed and grew, and that's where my content is now.
All right. So what was your first four-wheel drive vehicle?
BMW X5.
Really?
2004. It was still on street tires, and I wanted to go camping. Took it as far as I could, but that's where you start to notice the limits of a vehicle. Street tires not going to get me too far. In the snow, I tried driving into the snow because I didn't know any better. I got stuck a few times. Luckily, there were good people around to recover and help me get out. But that was the first, I guess you can call it just all-wheel drive, right? And that was my exploration vehicle. And engine broke down, of course, gaskets leaked, and then I graduated into the Tacoma.
Yeah. Okay. So how long have you been creating videos now?
It's been a little over 6 years.
6 years?
Yeah, yep. But seriously, maybe in the last 3 or 4 years.
Okay. Your channel name, now everybody knows you as Ed Shin, yes. Or at least we do, or Edward Shin.
Yes.
But your channel name's Crocom Outdoors.
Yep.
Where did that one come from?
Crocom is a name that I made up around college time because I had, if you are as old as I am, you remember AIM chat, like AOL Instant Messenger. And in that, you had to pick a screen name so you can chat with people online. And, there was things like Asian boy or Asian guy 69, all those things were taken, and I wanted to be a little different, So I chose Crocom, and it really has no meaning. It's just a bunch of letters put together to stand out. Now the outdoors part, before I really got into YouTube, I followed a lot of people who had outdoors in their channel names, and I thought it was really interesting. So I figured I'd just mix those two together, and that's how Crocom Outdoors started. So Crocom really has no meaning, it's just the outdoors part.
Okay. So Asian Boy 69, you were really broed up.
I was really disappointed that was taken.
All right. So, and you're now doing YouTube full-time as of this past year?
Just maybe about half a year ago, I started doing YouTube full-time. I've been very fortunate enough to meet great people, have partners, Northridge 4x4, Warren, all these other companies who are willing to work with me, as well as YouTube, ad revenue and all that, which allowed me to kind of take that step into this next level. But at the same time, of course, just in case, I had to have money saved up and things like that, because the YouTube space is still not predictable. Mm-hmm. 1 minute you could be doing really well, next minute, just because of a little algorithm change, you're, driving Uber.
So now that you've had a couple different four-wheel drive vehicles, because you had your BMW and then your Toyota Tacoma.
Yep.
Then it was a Tundra.
Then it was a Tundra.
And now the Ram.
Now the Ram.
And then, of course, now the Wrangler.
Yes.
Okay. So what's been the favorite trail that you've been on so far?
Oh, favorite trail. It's hard to say. So I would say my favorite place to go off-roading in is the Alvord Desert. There's no real trail, but I just like the open area that doesn't have any speed limits, that doesn't have dotted lines, just kind of free to roam. And you can do that on trails too. And after you drive enough trails, you find out a lot of them start to look similar unless you go to different parts of the continent, right? So just the freedom of the desert driving is my favorite type of trail, I guess you can say.
And what's been your best experience out in the woods? Just out of all your experiences, what's the one that really you'll tell people, the story that continues to pop in your mind?
There was a time where we all met up in Mount Shasta, and we decided to have like a potluck type of thing. But it was like an improvised potluck because there were some people who didn't really pack enough food for a meal for a couple of nights. So everyone decided to share their food. This one guy, he brought some lamb chops. He was like, I made a little extra lamb chops for you. And he talked to me that way. And there were some other people who overheard. They're like, did someone say extra lamb chops? And of course, this is a great guy, and he said, okay, let's all share these lamb chops, Little did he know, it was like a bunch of piranhas at this camp who were really hungry. Because the thing is, this guy made really good lamb chops. He seasoned it amazingly well. So he had maybe about like 20 of these lamb chops in this Ziploc bag. By the time everything was said and done, he only had like 2 pieces. But the thing was, at the end of the day, he was still happy and glad that everyone got to partake and taste his lamb chops.
Sure.
But the thing is, that's what I like the most. And those are the memories that I always keep with me and I always remember, are the times where I spend around a fire with my friends and this group of people. And, just sharing stories, sharing some drinks sometimes and some food. And I hope to do that with you too,
Well, soon. We'll be out.
Yep.
Okay, so what camera equipment do you said you started out with just using your cell phone and then went on to a GoPro, but now that many years later, what camera equipment do you run?
So my main camera is the Sony A7S III, and then I have a couple of G Master lenses on there. I have a 24mm prime, which I use pretty much for most of my videos. I like the wide shots, and it has created, a lot of people told me it does create a kind of like a weird feel or a different feel on the videos, which I like. I want it to be unique. And then I do have a zoom lens, G Master as well. And then of course I have the GoPro. Right now I have a GoPro Hero 11 for like the car driving shots, along with a Mavic 3 Classic drone.
So now, of course, you're driving your 2022 diesel Wrangler JL, and we've done a lot to it here recently, but you do have quite a few other mods. So what are some of your favorite other mods besides 40s?
I was going to say 40s. Man, there's so much. Like, there's the function. I mean, I try to make modifications based on functionality before form, but if there's form mixed in there, that's great. Man, that's a good question, actually. I would say my most favorite one, which gives me a peace of mind, and I've used before on other vehicles, and that I know is an essential piece of an equipment for a vehicle going off-roading or overlanding, is the winch. It gives me that peace of mind knowing that I can recover people in my group if necessary. I can recover myself and get myself out of a bind, which I've gotten into binds many times.
What would you say is your next big mod planned?
So it's going to be one big thing based on a lot of small things. Because we got the 40s on here, and because we got the axle shaft, the Chromolys, and the RCVs in the front, and everything like that, so the weak points start to kind of shift, right? So because of that, well, and along with the steering and stuff, so I want to see if I can do it kind of all around the same time as far as doing steer smarts, because I can feel a little play with the big tires, and it's my first time driving 40s, and you told me I'm gonna feel that in the steering, right? And I definitely felt it. Off-road, it's a little bit, I don't notice as much, but on the highway I do. So something with the steering components, as well as reinforcing, like, changing out the knuckles, ball joints, and things like that. So I feel like it's like the same realm, but a lot of little pieces.
Yep. And that'll be interesting. The JL JT suspension is great in a stock vehicle with stock tires, even on up to about a 35.
Yeah.
Once you get above that those aluminum knuckles, that stock steering really starts to show it. The 40s will just, so it's like a big sore thumb.
Yeah, I mean, luckily so far they're handling it fine, you know, like, and I am able to, just this past weekend I went to Canada, snow wheeled, even recovered a little bit, you know, and they seem to be holding up when we just looked under the car, right, earlier today. But preventative measures is better than, you know, trying to fix something at the end of the day.
Definitely. So what is your next adventure? Where are you headed to next?
So this weekend, Nate Dirt Lifestyle and we're going to go on a 4-day trek. We're going to go towards like east towards Mount Rainier in Washington. And he a couple of months back or a couple of weeks back went to a spot where there was just like deep snow. And just recently there was about a couple of feet of snow that just fell. So we're going to try to trek a short distance, which is probably going to take a long period of time, and camp out there for 3 nights.
Oh, it sounds like fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
You might actually be forced to camp out there for 3.
Yeah, we might be camped at the same spot, stuck for a couple of nights. But the thing is, luckily Nate is very, you know, intelligent and how to recover and things like that. And I feel the Jeep is very capable. I don't expect it to get stuck as much as my Ram did in deep snow. But luckily we have all the tools we need to be able to survive out there and also recover. So, yeah.
Perfect. Now, if you could visit any place, any trail, well, in the world, where would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one. So I've been watching a lot of videos of people, you know, overlanding and off-roading. Iceland seems to have a lot of cool snow trails with the big 43-inch tires, you know, and no specific trail, but just around that scenic area. But I am really excited and looking forward to tackling the Rubicon trail, which I never did, with the JL that we outfitted here. And as well as what's the one, Death Valley, like Moab and places like that, because these are places that have been on my bucket list, but I wasn't capable because I didn't have the right vehicle, in my opinion, which was the Ram Rebel. But now with the JL, with the lift and the bigger tires and all that, I feel like I can comfortably and confidently tackle those trails. And I'm really looking forward to it. I know I wanted to have an exotic answer for you, but to me, those are my dream trails.
Those are the answers I like. Those are the iconic trails here in the United States. The Rubicon Trail, Moab, Death Valley for any overlanders.
Yep, absolutely.
There's so many here. We do have some fantastic wheeling right here in the good old USA.
We're very fortunate, I think.
Yep. All right, so now you mentioned earlier your wife and you have a family.
Yes.
So how does that all play into the busy life of an adventurer?
Oh man, right now it's tough. It's really tough. Trying to, you know, manage time and balance out being able to go out, because now it's not just going out to adventures just for fun with friends or by myself. It's, you know, income producing. We're doing it to share content and hopefully turn it into a thing where this is the only source of income, right? So with that, I'm very lucky and fortunate that my wife Katie is supportive, right, and allows me to do these things. And I say allow because, you know, I want my wife to be happy. You know, we just had a newborn who's a little over a month old now. It's hard for one person to take care of a newborn plus a 2-year-old at home. So I want to be at home as much as possible, but, you know, I need to still do these things. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to manage time a little better. So my planning in the near future is to be able to take my oldest daughter out when I go on these adventures and, you know, go show her camping and overlanding. And then hopefully, as my youngest one gets a little older, take the whole family out and make content while spending time with family. But right now it is a little tough.
Well, that's a lofty goal. It sounds like a great one. So do you have any advice for people who want to get into overlanding and four-wheeling, adventuring?
Yeah. Don't try to go out and buy everything that the people you follow on YouTube have on their rigs. Go out first yourself with the basics and see what you find you are needing, or trails that you want to go that you can't really go to, and what you think you will need after that to help you get there and across. Because there are people who will get like max tracks, but they never go on sand or snow or even mud or anything like that. There are people who are just on desert roads and just go on gravel roads who will never need things like maybe a winch, right? For example, and they just want to go to national parks and camp there. So what I would say is, as you enjoy the outdoors, make a list for yourself and not someone else's list to apply to your vehicle, because then you'll be more happy with your build and instead of building something, sinking a lot of money into which you find you're not going to use a lot of parts or gear on. And I'm telling you this because I've done the same thing. When I did the same thing with my initial builds, I spent so much money on things that I realized I did not need. And so I was like, it's in the beginning, I started to resent going out a little more because I had all these things. I was like, what is the point of this, right? But as I get, more experience and over time, I'm like, I'm just going to put the stuff on the rig or on vehicles, which is going to help me get to certain places and do certain things. That's why I wanted to put the 40s because, like my friend Nate, he goes out in deep snow all the time with bigger tires. Practically speaking, you don't need 40s, for most of the time. You can do 37s if you really want to go big, and that's plain sufficient. Like the Rubicon trail, Nate said you can do 33s and 35s on a Jeep, and you'll still be able to tackle that trail no problem. So, definitely do the research and make sure it's something that fits you and your lifestyle and your needs, and you'll be more happy, I think. That's just my opinion.
So besides YouTube, what other social media platforms can people find you on or follow you on?
Currently, Instagram is the other one that they can find me on. It's Edward_Shin_. And that's where I'll do more frequent uploads, or, I'll put stories where it's like more up to date, behind the scenes type of stuff. Whereas YouTube, it's like once a week. So.
And to close it out, we're in year 2023. What's the perfect year 2023 for Edward Shin?
The perfect year. Growing my channel, building up the community, have a bigger community, seeing more people go out and hearing more stories about people going outdoors, and hopefully not having to modify more on the JL or the Ram, but I know that's a rhetorical statement. That's not
big bore steering.
Ironically, the more we do to the rigs, it's like the longer the list grows. But I'm hoping by the end of this year, we'll have it fully built, like on the JL and on the Ram, so that I can focus more on spending time doing adventures.
Beautiful. All right, so that brings us to the end, and we hope you enjoyed our little Q&A with Ed Shin, and we'll have him back here in the studio for more mods coming up.
Yep.
And if you have any more questions, we'll leave that down in the comment section below, and we'll ask him on the next time around. Until then, I know we're going to see you because we still have to play with your bump stops a little bit more.
Yep.
And I think we're going to end up doing a little bit more trimming on fenders and sheet metal.
I think so.
We clearance some, but I think we need a little bit more.
This is always the case.
And I think maybe the next time we're going to get you in here is probably some steering too.
I think that sounds about right.
All right.
Yep.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Tim.
And thank you for your time. We'll see you again soon.